which are plaguing me, you know.
Escape of sorts.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I would just jump in and say that I agree with you. I think the joy of reading is unlocking someone's imagination and letting
ये दुनिया जिसमें तुमने आँख खोली है इतनी बुरी जगह पर नहीं है। इसकी एक बात, बहुत अच्छी बात तो ये है कि यहाँ बेइंतहा मोहब्बत मौजूद है और तुमको तो मेरे रब ने उतारी मोहब्बतों को ही गोद में है और तुमको तो मेरे रब ने उतारा ही मोहब्बतों की गोद में है। तुमको अंदाजा हो गया होगा कि तुमने जिस खानदान में कदम रखा है वो अच्छा खासा दीवाना है। तुमको यहाँ अजीब व गरीब तजाद मिलेंगे, बेहद मोहब्बत करने वाले लोग लेकिन सख्त पसंदी, लेकिन सख्त तबीयतें, हद से गुजर जाने की सलाहियत और पाबंदी रसूम व क़यूम, आज़ाद ख्याली और क़दामत पसंदी। मेरा ख्याल है कि ये जो दूसरी खसूसियात हैं ये पहली खसूसियात के आगे बांधने के लिए हैं। अगर ये बंदिशें ना हो तो ये इंतहा पसंद तबीयतें उतार जाने क्या गुल खिलाएं। तुम्हारा क्या ख्याल है? And so the letter goes on. This whole genre of letter writing has to become popular and has to look at new ways of looking. And this is like an innocent letter, but very thoughtful letter written by people and talk about and the letter goes on. So Virasat ka Safar, a simple piece like that, but so endearing, opens up so many vistas. But do we look at literature like that? Does a school teacher look at literature like that? And Mela Bazaar, which is an open forum at the Children's Literature Festival, where kids are allowed to come and speak their minds. And at first we used to give awards, but we thought, forget the competitive nature of this. Let it be open and let every child receive a certificate, provided they have done some original thinking. And I'm just reading this short piece which says, damage beyond repair. You left us all isolated. This is a grade 10 child writing. You left us all isolated on an island without any hope. We are all depressed, we are deflated. All we do is sit around and hope. And even if you're dancing your last dances, we won't leave you. No, not under any circumstances. We pray you get better. We pray that you may. Even if you're getting worse day by day, none of us will leave you. None of us will dare. And if you are damaged beyond repair, damage beyond repair, and we'll wait till a new dawn breaks through. Anything for you. And we'll all keep our hopes up, even when the going gets tough. Nothing's harder than letting you slip out of our hands. You're faster than sand, but my hand and my heart will hold the last rails, and they'll hold what is left. They'll hold what remains. You need to know none of us will let you go. You need to know none of us will let you go. I imagine this is a child in one of these schools over here expressing himself about the land. And this is the profundity of our children and our youth. We are missing the point. But in a research that we've done recently, 41 mother tongues are spoken. We have only 2 or 3 mediums of instructions. And God alone knows in every festival that we try to do, we try and have the whole issue of inclusion in mother tongue. अपनी मातृ ज़बान जैसे अभी भावुक फेस्टिवल हुआ उसमें सराइकी का एक पूरा जानना था। इसी वजह से था कि लोगों को अपनी विरासत समझ आए और समझ आए कि लिटरेचर और फिक्शन किस तरह से बनता है। यहाँ तक कि हमने कॉमेडियंस भी मंगाए जो कि कठपुतली वाले, और कठपुतली के तमाशे में आज भी अवगत का लहरा चलता है। आज भी गोबर जान है जो कि मशहूर पॉर्टिजान है, जो कि हिंदुस्तान की मानी जानी पॉर्टिजान है, मगर उनका डांस होता है। जब उस डांस का कठपुतली वाले भी करते हैं तो वो भी triggers all kinds of imagination. You know, your heart skips a beat and you wonder, oh my God, this is a कठपुतली वाला, just a charpai and those exquisite figures and the most amazing Marwari songs. But we were asking the children like this कि देखो इसको कंज्यूम ना करो, प्रोड्यूस पूछो इनसे, इसके पीछे क्या है, तुम लोग इतना अच्छा गाते कैसे हो, गौहर जान के बारे में कैसे सोचा, और गौहर जान आजकल क्या कहती है। इसी तरह से तोता कहानी और तोता कहानी के किस्से वो तमाम किताबें मसाले बैठी हमें मना किया जाता था उड़ा लगानी पड़ती, वो नहीं पढ़नी। हम 12 साल की उम्र में सब चीजें पढ़ रहे थे, छुप के सबके आप भी पढ़ते थे, क्योंकि हमारी इमोशंस इतनी कॉम्प्लेक्स थे और हम लोग इन चीजों को प्रोजेक्ट हदों से निकालिए और उन सेफ हदों तक भी डालिए जिसमें बच्चे अपने आइडियाज को, इमेजिनेशन को और खुशियों को एक्सपीरियंस कर सकते हैं। देखिए पाकिस्तान को इस वक्त, जैसे मुशर्रफ ने कहा, हिंदी जो गुड एटमॉस्फेयर ऑफ लर्निंग एंड हीलिंग और लर्निंग फॉर हीलिंग और वाइस वर्सा, आई डोंट नो, but I think there is a movement that is certainly what we feel resonates with what we started, which I think needs to go into different formats, not these expensive formats, and they must be seen as equalizers. A bacha from Buchanhouse, a bacha from government school, a madrasa, non-formal, special education, doesn't matter, they all feel the same. And I think we need to be able to nourish that in smaller formats such as cluster-based festivals or a school-based literature festival, so teachers also loosen up a bit. And they also stop worrying about exams and texts. All of us are third division pass. Honestly, I mean, I think I was awful in my O-level exams. It only when I started my A-levels, I said, now I better get serious. My father spent too much money on me. So, and that's the kind of thing, you know, so we need to get beyond this of textbooks the way they are, and also this whole business of becoming first or 98 percentile in your exams. This is killing us. This is not true. This is making us dishonest. Children want to be honest.
Exactly. Just to connect these two threads of thought, I was asking about introducing models in books, and I think Baela has talked very well about reaching out to children in schools, etc. How would you bring these two together in the program that you're promoting? Do you feel, first of all, do you feel that it's even the school's job or the book's job to teach models to a child? Or should that be up to the parents?
That actually is a very controversial issue in the United States. And I think most people would err on the side of that's something with parents. Teaching morals would be a parental issue. That said, I think there are a couple of things though, and which also tie in with what Musharraf and Baela have said, which is, it doesn't just have to be reading in the context of school. This is one of the roles a library can play. Even such things, one of the most popular things in the United States in libraries is story time. Right. And maybe it's a couple of times a week, certain time, and parents know, okay, I can take my child in, and they're going to sit around in a circle of Google stories, or they'll read from a book.
Right.
And again, so there are other outlets other than just school and home. Right. And I think that's something, here in Pakistan, perhaps to strengthen a bit more the whole use of libraries and making it become more of a part of people's everyday lives. I know certainly there are many programs going on to try and strengthen these. One of the things that we have done through our USAID, through our other US-funded programs, at the university level, we have something called Open Corners, which are small American libraries within a university. We're starting to expand them to have children's centers. And this is a way, it's not just Lahore, not just Karachi, but this is going out into Bahawalpur, to Muzaffarabad, to Faisalabad, Multan, and other parts of the country where people can, who perhaps don't have quite as much access. But then, again, this whole part of story time is something that's very easy for a library to start. And we can work with training librarians as well, and kind of trying to expand their horizons of creativity of what they can do to reach out to the children.
And what she mentioned about the mother tongue, this is something that I was hoping to introduce later into the discussion, but let's do it now. These centers, etc., that you're opening, I mean, how are you reaching out to children whose mother tongue is, in a regional language?
Our USAID program has a number of grants in southern Punjab, where they're also helping to develop books that we're publishing in Saraiki, Punjabi, in the local languages. So we want the child to be able to you don't want the lack of language skills to be the detriment of reading.
Of course. And more important, not more importantly, but equally importantly, we have to understand also the teachers that we're talking about. So if you're giving English books to a community-based school in a rural area, the teacher may just not be able to read from it. And if she can't, then that means it's just going to be rotting on the shelf. In the meantime, the figures in the program report are about oral storytelling. What do you think the scope is for increasing this particular activity of oral storytelling for children in Pakistan? I know that you extensively promoted Fite, Master of Time, and that you read out to children a lot when you were promoting the book. How did you find that experience, and do you think it can be expanded more?
Yes, when this book was published some months ago, I made a tour of what is called A schools. Lahore Grammar School, Lahore American School, Islamabad, Musharraf Academy, and other schools, Karachi Grammar School, CS, and all that. International schools. The reason was that the price of this book was about 400 rupees, and that was the only income group that could easily afford it.
Right.
But myself and my partners in this publishing program, which I launched, we plan to introduce books at a much lower production cost, so that they will be easily bought both in English and Urdu. Because there are a number of kids who read in English, but they don't necessarily have the kind of budget to spend on these books. So going back to the original question about storytelling, I go to schools and I talk about my thing is that I make a presentation about how I started writing, what the kind of books I write, they understand who the heck is this person, the rest of that. And then I say, okay, so I write these books and I write because, I like to, have fun, while I'm writing, and I can't have that fun if I'm writing very serious, novels for adults, I never get a laugh out of that. But I do get my laughs when I'm writing for kids, because you're trying to imagine a funny situation, clever retorts and all that. And that brings the fun element into my writing and into my life as a writer. But storytelling is one thing which I've seen kids are just absolutely riveted when you read a story.
Yeah.
And it makes a huge difference if you narrate the story to them without reading from the book, and there's a completely different experience when you're reading from. Yes, they're listening and the story is good and all that. But when there are no devices around you, and you are talking directly to the reader. Like, ye kahani Muchunda ki. Muchunda saab had big mustaches, and he used to tie his mustaches to the end of the circus dome and swing from them. That in the picture. No amount of reading from the book can get kids into that kind of way that they will feel. Because it's that kind of flow. Which writing as a medium is it's very formal. No matter how Roald Dahl is one of the best examples, how formal we made that in a way it's fun. But in oral storytelling, there are these secrets. And this all these mannerisms, coming to storytelling, which gives asha, so this is tamasha. So they become involved in that at that level. And then, because I remember my Chacha reading, narrating stories to me. Farooqi, you go there and speak that thing,
right.
Or go, and then he would mimic the goat's voice. You can't bring that no matter what you do. The best special effects sometimes produce that. So I think oral storytelling is something that should be introduced in schools as a subject. And both for the kids as well as for the teachers. Because kids, you can say that we have kids making speeches rather than make them speeches, which is expression. Ask them create a story or read a story and narrate it in their own words. Because it will give them the same degree of confidence which they get from making a speech or addressing the public. And they will have a lot more fun, I think, doing that. I also think that the mothers and the fathers, because the fathers cannot be ruled out from this duty.
Yes.
They have to learn and get introduced to reading to their kids. Just 15 minutes a day. Everyone can find 15 minutes out of their lives, and the kind of bond you will have with your kid, reading for those 15 minutes, is you would slowly grow to that, grow into half an hour, 2 hours easily. And you know, that is something that we need to bring back into our life, because now, before that, Dadi Amma, Nani Amma, you know, they are guiding to the kids, but now we are not living in joint families anymore. We are moving out of that system. So the kids are left with ourselves, you know, their father and mother. There's no other adult member of the household at the time, and you know, the interest in, you know, parenting to the kids. So these duties have to be readjusted to, you know, to this new system of life that we have. And fathers and mothers have to get involved in this way.
Actually, you can expand that. You know, there's that saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, there are lots of kids that are in colleges here or universities. This is a great community service project. Get out there and, you know, what does it take exactly what you said? For someone to go and a student to go and read to younger students in another school 15 minutes a day, and it involves lots of layers of society as well. And I think it reinforces that collective responsibility we all share in educating the rest of the population.
The lovely thing here is that you're distinguishing between reading a book and actually narrating a story, or even because I think lovely idea, it's so much a part of our culture. And you're so right in mentioning the Nani and the Dadi, because that's the role that they always played. I mean, they were over with their main responsibilities and tasks, and now they were just enjoying the kids and telling them stories. And I don't think you're right. We can't offer our children the same, because people are busier now, and many times we're not living in the same cities as the grandparents and the children. What I would love to know is why just in the home you're running schools, and you know, surely I'm sure you're teaching your teachers to actually read the children regularly. But why not integrate it more as a part of the curriculum? Not reading, but oral storytelling. If you're telling a story, narrating a story, why not work math into it? Why not work science into it? You know, so to help them to learn through oral storytelling. Are you trying to set out?
We are desperately trying, and we're trying to, first of all, this is a question of unlearning and relearning. So the unlearning has to take place at the level of homes and schools with parents and teachers, कि भाई इससे भी learning होती है. ज़रूरी नहीं कि learning का मतलब है सिर्फ टेक्स्ट बुक्स देखना, मगर इसके आगे भी जहाँ है, और टीचर्स इसको encourage कर सकते हैं. मगर ये पूरा एक जैसे रिकंस्ट्रक्शन का काम है स्कूल्स में. अक्सर हमें जाके पहले टीचर्स, मीडियम्स, एजुकेशन, पूरी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को समझाना पड़ता है कि देखिए निसाब फिर भी खत्म हो जाएगा, मगर इसकी वजह से यकीनन बच्चे जरा शौक से पढ़ेंगे, सोचेंगे आज पता नहीं टीचर ने किस मुछंदर की कहानी सुनानी है, किसकी सुनानी है, मगर उसी की वजह से या लद्दाख की उस बच्चे की कहानी सुनानी है जो कि वो स्कूल जाती थी और किस तरह से जाती थी, और हालांकि वो चैलेंज बच्चे थे, और जो भी कहानी हो किसी तरह की हो, मगर इस सारी कल्चर को बदलने के लिए एक ऐसे पूरी मूवमेंट की जरूरत है. ये जो चिल्ड्रंस लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल जो बिल्कुल कंट्रोल हो चुके हैं और जो खुशी से हमने कहा कि इसमें 14 स्ट्रैंड्स हैं. फ्रॉम रीड अलाउड विद एक्सप्रेशन, नाविया जमील बल्कि उसकी सफीर की है चिल्ड्रंस लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल की एम्बेसडर, ऐसे नदीर, ऐसे ज़ारा, सैयद अज़हरा, बहुत सारे लोग उसको ज्वाइन करते जा रहे हैं इसी काम को, और हम लोग ये चाहते हैं कि इस तरह के रोल मॉडल्स भी आए जो टीचर्स को फिर से ये दिलासा दिलाएं कि भाई इतने सक्सेसफुल लोग भी इस तरह के काम कर सकते हैं, और इससे बच्चे भी सक्सेसफुल होंगे और किताबें भी खत्म कर लेंगे. बिकॉज हमें इस तरह के मुतबादिल मुस्बित किस्म के रोल मॉडल्स चाहिए हैं विच आर फन एंड वेयर यू कैन सी कि भाई literature festival doesn't mean just books. It can be digital stories, it can be comics, it can be music. We had Noori band, we had Zayban Hanya, we had Lal band. We are part of the festival, and like Lal was saying, हम सूफी काम जो है वो बच्चों तक पहुंचाना चाहते हैं through this. And you should see the way Bhavalpur was walking. We said, this is Bhavalpur. This is where, by the way, 10% of the children go to madrasas. The highest anywhere. The highest anywhere in Pakistan. This is the reality. And you know where there was no badtameezi, and children love this multi-sensory experience. कि वहाँ पे फौजे मिलना का आर्ट भी हो रहा और वहाँ पे बल्कि भी कराची में जो इंजीनियर साहब बच्चों के साथ बात कर रहे थे, तो क्ले में काम करके और अपनी स्टोरीज लिख रहे थे बच्चे, छोटे से लेकर बड़े तक। तो ये जो कल्चर बदलना और जो हमारी उम्मीद है कि इस फेस्टिवल में ऑल्टरनेटिव कंटेंट शुरू होगा, और जो इंशाल्लाह हम लोग, ये हमारा एक पूरी जंग है, महाज है, जो हम टेक्स्ट बुक राइटर्स तक पहुंचाएंगे, जो टेक्स्ट बुक बोर्ड्स के तक जाना चाहेंगे, और सारी टीचिंग प्रैक्टिस और क्लासरूम प्रैक्टिस का हिस्सा बनना चाहिए। इसी जब तक ये माहौल जिसमें अब शिगाफें पड़ गई है, चाहे घर में, चाहे स्कूल के माहौल में, चाहे बाहर मोहल्ले में, इन शिगाफों को किसी ना किसी तरह से हमने रिपेयर करना है। वो कैसे करना है, मैं समझती हूँ कि इससे बेहतर कोई तरीका नहीं हो सकता, जैसे मुशर्रफ बता रहे हैं, जैसे नीना बता रही है। एंड यू सी द more diverse the literature, and we must have not just Pakistani literature, it can be literature from anywhere, and I think that's, and the child's imagination wants that, they're thirsty for that, and we've tested out in schools. Right now we're working in about 10 smart schools with libraries which become extended community learning resource centers. Now there's IT facility, these were the boys' schools where militants were mobilized, children were mobilized as suicide bombers. यही बच्चे जो वहां से किए गए, और 2 साल स्कूल बंद रहे उनके, पहले तालिबान ने बंद किए, फिर उसके बाद आर्मी ने ले लिए उन स्कूल्स को, और वो रिहैबिलिटेट हो रहे किसी लर्निंग के एक्सपीरियंस से, मल्टी सेंसरी एक्सपीरियंस से, स्वाद की हेरिटेज लर्निंग से, कई हेरिटेज साइट्स पे भी जाते हैं। तो ये, और इससे आइडिया ये कि एक्सप्रेशन है, जितना एक्सप्रेशन का मौका मिलेगा, मैं समझ रहा है उतनी ही सोसाइटी की जल्दी रिकंस्ट्रक्शन होगी। और वो एक्सप्रेशन सिर्फ प्रिंट से नहीं हो सकता, वो म्यूजिक से भी हो सकता है, वो एक्सप्रेशन शब्द है, एक्सप्रेशन शब्द सकता है। उसको हमें, क्योंकि हम लोग रिसर्च टीचर करते हैं, इन सर्विस में भी करते हैं, निसाब में भी, और हम कहते हैं कि हम पॉलिसी को इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं, पॉलिसी कोई फायदा नहीं जब तक अमल नहीं हो सकता inside the classrooms, inside the homes, inside the spaces that we live in, because children need to regain that data to themselves.
Time has gone by much faster than I realized it was. I have just one more question from you, Afia, and then we'll open it up for questions from the audience. She mentioned IT about 4 times in that video answer. Where is this going? Digitizing children's literature, digitizing stories, having, whether podcasts on the net, so that children, even their grandparents aren't there, maybe children can listen to stories off the net, audio stories, etc. Are you working in this at all? Is the US developing something like this, a resource like this?
We have one specific program which is called Trace, and I can give some information about it outside, but what it does is it's putting some things on DVDs so that the students have this interaction, right? That they're able to go on their computers, and that's, and let's face it, kids are very oriented to computers, but it's the storytelling that allows them to interact with the characters and with the story itself. And so, but if I can put one little plug in while we're here, one of our other wonderful programs, we teach English after school to children, again, throughout Punjab. We have a bunch of young boys back here, and these are called Access English. They're learning English 2 hours a day after school for 2 years, and so they come out fluent. But when you were talking about how do we use other types of activities to get kids interested in talking, one of the things that they did this fall, for example, they did a mock debate for the U.S. election. Part of learning English was also looking at current affairs. And so one of them portrayed President Obama, one of them portrayed candidate Romney, and they had a full-out debate. And here you go. Well, and what a great way to understand and just
policy issues.
Yes, policy issues, but also just the whole idea of whatever the debate or whatever. But another thing, I think I don't know if this was so I kind of just grasped.
I'm going to open this up for questions now. There is another question.
My question is to Rina. It's wonderful that the consulate is doing so much work in Pakistan for kids here. I have a two-pronged question, if you don't mind answering. One is, in the areas that are sort of in difficult areas, where people are a bit more, like specifically in Musharraf and in Fite, where a lot of children are suffering because of the various attacks, both from the drones and from the militancy. Are there any programs that the U.S. Consulate has sort of structured specifically for children in those areas? Is the U.S. taking responsibility for that as well? And my second question, which you can answer together, what about children in America? I mean, it's one thing telling children here about a story about a little girl in Dakota, but do you tell children in America about stories of a little girl or a little boy in Quetta or in Karachi or in Lahore that can sort of strengthen ties and help kill sort of ill-built notions about Pakistan or one-sided notions about Pakistan?
Okay, I'm going to answer for your second question. But on the first one, we have programs throughout Pakistan, and one of the things that I think we've done most on, perhaps in Bangladesh, the other kind of more difficult regions, is help rebuilding schools. We've helped rebuild something like 900 schools. So, I think that's a very concrete thing in helping to train teachers that then go into the schools. As far as teaching American children about a little child in Pakistan, I don't know the specific answer to that. I know, however, that because of America is a melting pot. We take great pride in that. And I think there's more and more attention in education today on telling the story of the little person, the little Chinese child, the little African, whomever, so that the kids can relate to the types of friends that they see around them. And so I would suspect that there is a story about a South Asian child.
But perhaps, I think the program might be in order, which specifically exports children's literature from here to U.S. schools. And this is actually something I wanted to bring up, but we never got around to it. But it would be good, I think, as a cultural exchange. If Musharraf is writing a book like Tick Tick, The Master of Time, that could be anyone, anywhere. Tick Tick is a demon on planet Earth.
It could be a nice package that goes also.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk to Mr. Farooqi. I liked your comment that you said that this is a time of violence and it will go away. Very positive note. Is there literature for the people who are now being raised and they will be grown up and the time of violence the child will be gone? So is there some kind of healing going on, or is there a need for that kind of thing?
What I mentioned was that if you're looking for some kind of, a movement around, a literary movement in children's literature, that cannot be the basis, this kind of cathartic or healing literature. But having answered that, I'll just say that I think we don't have, people ask me sometimes, how can you write for kids and adults? Is there an effort involved and all that? And I think the only effort involved is you have to pick up a kid's book and read it. And and then there's no effort involved in picking up a kid's book and finishing it and picking up an adult's book and you're reading that. So just like that, it's a matter of exposure. But because we are not too exposed to children's literature as adults, because it's not well distributed, it's not commonly available in Urdu. So we have lost touch with that expression which is employed in creating children's literature. And my advice for that would be that we not only publish a lot of the older literature which exists for children in Urdu, but at the same time we also translate a lot of the contemporary literature being written in other languages of the world into Urdu. And because that literature is contemporary, and then we have our own literature which has been aimed at kids, reading it together in schools or through reading programs, we can develop a new expression in Urdu which will be contemporary and which will be aimed for children. So I think rather than focus on books itself, I think I'd like to focus on the expression that we need to think about, in which we can write for kids.
Thank you. This lady, there are actually too many questions, we don't have enough time. Just this lady and then that gentleman at the back. After that, you're welcome to talk to the panelists.
Okay, in our institute we have a storyteller's chair which is hand painted, and grandparents and parents come and read to the children there. What we have found out that the parents and grandparents who are reading at home, those are the children who are more interested. So we were thinking more in lines of having read to your child workshops, which are for parents, and another program which is reading buddies for siblings to read, and even our A2 students have read with little kids who have reading difficulties. We found that these two programs, we haven't done the Read to Your Child workshop because there's hardly any material available. So could that be made readily available so we can target parents, because that is, and families, and bring them in to us as the major stakeholders here. And then also have reading buddy programs. But we find very little information on that.
Should I take that in the spirit of a suggestion? I think yes.
Do we have anything on that? And is there any material available?
We do, but unfortunately most of that level material is available in the form of poems for kids. Toad Badot, or Billoga Basta by Ninsha. So these are Ismail Meriti here, you can find Nazme, but Ismail Meriti is very complex for kids. I found that it's an adult talking to an adult. It's not for really great for kids, even though the subject matter.
But not in workshop side. It's read to your child.
Read to your child. That's a great idea. Absolutely, it should be followed up on. I think.
Yeah, in addition to the literary festival, like when we have literary festival, we can actually have workshops.
Yeah, especially since there's such a strong tradition of storytelling in so many parts of this whole region. It was a part of storytelling generally.
And so many houses where reading is a culture where the kids are more, but otherwise the teachers find it very hard to bring children who are not reading at home into the reading room.
Absolutely. We have a question, last question at the back, and then everyone welcome to speak to the panelists.
I grew up devouring Mungwa and Torture stories. And one of the joys of my childhood was reading Dastani films and extended novels. It's a beautiful story. And when this whole Harry Potter thing broke out, it just got me thinking, why don't we have a Pakistani version of Harry Potter? Because something as beautiful as that, something successful, can really pave the way for promoting literature within children. Now I understand that we have forums where children discuss things and discuss the issues that are around them, but honestly, nothing succeeds like success. Why don't we have a Pakistani Harry Potter at F1? Is there any chance we can get one?
I'll be happy to answer that. I recently finished work on a 10 episode superhero animated movie, which is being directed by Sharmila Chenoy. She invited me to write the script for that, and we'll hear more about that in the coming days. So the first episode in that series is nearing completion, and the scripting is all done, and the animatics is all done, and now the final touches are being given to that. So you will see more children's literature, more material for children, which involves them into local tales coming out. I'm struggling with a small story idea. It will be called Gulab Jamun Ka Jinn. The Jinn of the Gulab Jamun. And it's about a boy who performs in the streets, begs sometimes and, sells small things. And he somehow, gets hold of a jinn. And the jinn and the boy become friends. And, this becomes a series of their adventures. So I have the first, book in the series almost, ready. And then there'll be, other. So some effort is being made, and I think once people see that, this kind of thing is successful, then others will join in because they'll find it lucrative and prestigious.
Is it in Urdu?
It is in Urdu, yes.
For those of us who are struggling with weight loss, the gulab jamun is the gym. Sariji, aap shayad sawal puch rahe hain.
Yes. Something we tried is together. We've spoken about rooms, we've spoken about weight. And I think if we would speak here
idea about promoting libraries in Pakistan. Each and every one of us, because a library does not have to be a building, it can be a bookshelf, it can be a rickshaw, it can be a cart, it can be anything. So and also if we start writing about this, anybody who does any work associated with books and bringing children and books together, if that's flashed in the newspapers or the media, so that this then becomes a movement. Absolutely. Because essentially we need to connect Pakistan with different cultures. We need both ways. We need our children to learn and to be heard everywhere in the world. And libraries for Pakistan.
Absolutely. That's a lovely